Hey guys, what's going on? James here. I bought the pewter one, and in today's video we are going to be talking about some of the top breakout players for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in this upcoming 2020 season. Now guys, a lot of these players are going to be kind of deep digs, okay? Because I've seen everybody be talking about the Ronald Jones and all these other players on paper like OJ Howard, some of the other guys, Antoine Winfield Jr., among other players, okay? I know I didn't name a lot of examples there, but you guys know who I'm talking about. There's a lot of examples out there right now of some of the main guys who you expect to have breakout years. The examples that I'm going to be giving in this video are kind of more deeper cut kind of guys who you should definitely be paying attention to in training camp, in preseason, and possibly in the regular season as well, depending on how things go with the roster and everything, because I think these 6 guys that I'm about to mention, 3 on defense, 3 on offense, there's some pretty special guys. So guys, without further ado, let's get started with my first player. It is going to be cornerback Sean Murphy Bunting. Now I know what people are going to say is, James, I thought these were deep digs. Sean Murphy Bunting, a lot of people expect him to have a breakout year, but I will say yes, while that is accurate, they expect, everybody expects all 3 of the Buccaneers top cornerbacks to have breakout years. Carlton Davis, Jamel Dean, and Sean Murphy Bunting, everybody expects them to all have breakout years this upcoming season and all do some pretty phenomenal things. The reason I selected Sean Murphy Bunting, however, is because I feel like he is slightly overshadowed by the other 2. Now, you guys know I love Carlton Davis. He's my favorite cornerback on this team. #1 corner. I think he's phenomenal. He's a physical cornerback, and I think he's literally the prototype of what you want in a #1 cornerback. A lot of people have been giving him love. A lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, have been giving Jamel Dean love. A lot of people feel that he is the best cornerback on the roster right now. You definitely could make that argument. He had a pretty darn good rookie season last year. After a rough start in the first half, he was phenomenal in the second half. And yeah, a lot of people are hyping up Jamel Dean as the best cornerback on the Buccaneers roster right now. And then you have Sean Murphy Bunting, where yes, there are people hyping him up, as there should be, but I don't feel like enough people have been taking a look at him when compared to the other 2 guys, being Carlton Davis and Jamel Dean. I feel personally Sean Murphy Bunting is the most versatile cornerback on this roster right now. He was phenomenal in both the slot cornerback role as well as playing outside cornerback when he needed to, but I feel especially in the slot, he did a really darn good job. 2 plays that come to my mind is whenever he had the interception versus Alvin Kamara when they played the New Orleans Saints, and the second interception that I remember was the one versus the Jacksonville Jaguars that pretty much helped the Buccaneers win that game. So he definitely has some ball hawking skills and has the ability to be around the football when he needs to be around the football. So really, I feel like in terms of him having a breakout year, yes, people do expect that, but I do feel like he is overshadowed a little bit by Carlton Davis and by Jamel Dean, which I love all 3 guys, okay? I think they're all going to be phenomenal as is what everybody else is thinking. But I feel like Sean Murphy Bunting has some really darn good potential right now to be a phenomenal inside cornerback and working as an outside cornerback as well. That versatility is going to be so huge for the Buccaneers defense this upcoming season, and it's why, honestly, you could make the argument that Sean Murphy Bunting has the most potential right now out of these 3 guys. I mean, I'm still Carlton Davis for life, but it is what it is. Sean Murphy Bunting, I think that he is going to be a phenomenal breakout star for the Buccaneers. The next player I want to talk about was in the same draft class as Jamel Dean and Sean Murphy Bunting. It is outside linebacker Anthony Nelson. Now, for those of you who don't know the story of Anthony Nelson last season, it was just simply an unfortunate circumstance of injury problems. He had some injury concerns, I believe, in training camp preseason and for, I believe, 11 weeks in the regular season, which really hampered him in terms of getting out there and making plays for the Buccaneers, which is extremely unfortunate because from what I remember seeing from Anthony Nelson last year in the few limited games we got to see him in, both in the preseason and in the regular season, I loved the guy. I thought he was absolutely awesome. I specifically remember him, I believe he forced a fumble, he recovered a fumble, and he got a sack, and I don't know if that was in one game, but I'm pretty sure it was in one game. If I'm wrong, guys, definitely correct me. But the point is that I think Anthony Nelson has a very, very bright immediate future for the Buccaneers, as well as a long-term future for the Buccaneers as well. Now, we all know the Buccaneers pass rush, Shaq Barrett, Jason Pierre-Paul. It is awesome. But the Buccaneers did lose Carlton Davis in free agency. He's making some pretty darn good money with the Las Vegas Raiders, and everybody had assumed when Anthony Nelson was drafted last year that he was going to be the eventual replacement for Carl Nassib. Yes, it makes a lot of sense. They're pretty much the exact same player. But I really, really do feel like Anthony Nelson is going to shine in his role. I feel like him being that third pass rushing outside linebacker for the Buccaneers and having to get pretty heavily involved in the rotation is going to be awesome. Okay, I really do think Anthony Nelson can get, I want to say 5.5 to 6 sacks this year for the Buccaneers if he can stay healthy. And I know it's like, oh, James, that's not even a big deal. But if he's a part of a rotation that involves Shaq Barrett and Jason Pierre-Paul, you know those two guys are going to be playing a lot, and he still manages to get 5.5 to 6 sacks. That's a pretty darn good second year for him. And then you start considering once Jason Pierre-Paul, maybe he retires, maybe he goes into free agency, whatever the circumstances may be. I think he's on a 2-year deal, but I can't remember off the top of my head. The point is that whenever there is a spot open next to Shaq Barrett, because Shaq Barrett's going to be with the Buccaneers long term, I think Anthony Nelson can fill in that spot as a starting pass rushing linebacker beautifully for the Buccaneers for the next couple of years whenever he is ready to ascend to that role. I think it'd just be awesome. I think he's good for the immediate future of this team. I think he's good for the long-term future of this team. Him and Shaq Barrett, I think, could easily be a very, very, very formidable pass rushing duo for the Buccaneers linebacker core. And yeah, I just think he's going to do some awesome stuff next year. I think he's going to be pretty darn good. Finally, guys, the last player I want to mention on the defensive side of the ball who I think is going to potentially have a breakout 2020 season for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is safety Dakota Dixon. Now, I really am interested in Dakota Dixon, and I know the safety position is loaded with people right now. You have Antoine Winfield Jr., Mike Edwards, you have Jordan Whitehead, Justin Evans is probably going to be coming back from injury as well, and then you have Andrew Adams and some other guys that are involved to make a very deep safety group, okay? I think people kind of underestimate how deep this safety group is right now, because everybody loved Justin Evans before he came back from injury. Everybody loves Jordan Whitehead. Everybody is very interested in Antoine Winfield Jr., myself included. The guy should have been a first-round draft pick. I'm a huge fan of Andrew Adams. People like Mike Edwards. You know, there's a lot of guys to like in this safety group right now. But I think people are overlooking Dakota Dixon, and I think specifically a quote that Bruce Arians gave towards the end of the 2019 season, I believe maybe even the start of the 2020 offseason, spoke volumes to me as to what the coaching staff feels in what they have in Dakota Dixon. Now, I'm paraphrasing this, but essentially Bruce Arians said, yeah, if he wouldn't have gotten injured, Dakota Dixon probably would have been one of our starters at the safety position, which blew my mind to hear when I had first heard that statement. But then I started thinking about it more, and yeah, it seemed like it could have made a lot of sense. He was certainly getting a lot of hype in training camp and in preseason as well. He made the 53-man roster pretty comfortably, or at least he would have if he wouldn't have gotten injured, and unfortunate circumstances surrounding that. But I think now that he's going to be fully healthy, get a second chance there to show what he can do in training camp and preseason, I think we're going to be seeing some interesting things. Now, the Buccaneers are going to have plenty of competition at this safety group, but they had plenty of competition at that safety group last year as well, and he still shined, Dakota Dixon did, and he still made a very legitimate case to be a starting safety for this team last year, to the point where Bruce Arians said, yeah, he would have been a starter if he didn't get hurt. So that, to me, proves that there's plenty of confidence from the coaching staff in Dakota Dixon, and it's one of the reasons that I feel you guys should definitely pay attention to him in training camp and in preseason, because I think he has a lot of good things going for him right now. Moving on to the offensive side of the ball, the first player I want to talk about is actually a guy I just very recently interviewed here on the channel. It's Jadon Mickens, wide receiver. I'm biased. I don't care. Sorry, but I think that Jadon Mickens can be a very good piece for the Buccaneers, not just as a wide receiver, but especially as a return man for this team. Now, I know the Buccaneers do have TJ Logan, and they also have Raymond Calais as well. I like both those guys. I think they both could be phenomenal returners. But I think Jadon Mickens really can show what he can do finally for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as a returner. He's finally healthy. His ankle is all healed up. 2019, he was hurt most of the year. He joined the Tampa Bay Buccaneers late towards the end of the 2019 season. Didn't necessarily get a chance to show what he could do in the last game of the year. He didn't get a chance to return any kickoffs or anything like that. But now he's had a full off season to get acclimated to the offense, learn the playbook and things like that. I think he can be phenomenal, not just as a returner, former two-time special teams player of the week back in 2017 when he was with that really good Jacksonville Jaguars team that made the AFC Championship game, but I really think that he has a chance to do some awesome things as a receiver as well. There's some competition that's going to be going on for a couple of those wide receiver spots, okay? Scotty Miller, Justin Watson, Jadon Mickens, Bryant Mitchell, all these other guys that are fighting for that 5th and 6th wide receiver spot, you would assume it's going to be one heck of a battle, because you would assume right now, probably after Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, Tyler Johnson, he's probably going to be the number 3 wide receiver. I guess you could even make a legitimate argument for a 4th, 5th, and 6th wide receiver spot. So the point is that the back half of the Buccaneers wide receiver depth chart is wide open, and I think a wily veteran like Jadon Mickens, who has the versatility to be a good wide receiver as well as a phenomenal return man in the past, I think is going to speak volumes for how he is going to do in training camp and preseason. And yes, I'm biased. I don't care. Jadon Mickens for life. Please pay attention to him in this upcoming season. The second to last guy I want to talk about is going to be tight end Anthony Auclair. Now, people may have forgotten how decent Anthony Auclair is, not just as a receiving tight end, but especially as a blocking tight end as well. And I know the Buccaneers, they have Rob Gronkowski, they have O.J. Howard, they have Cameron Brate. Those 3 tight ends are phenomenal. I think they have the best tight end group in the NFL. Hands down, you cannot convince me otherwise. But I think they're going to keep 4 tight ends. The reason being is Anthony Auclair. Now, again, I go back to a quote that Bruce Arians gave early on in this 2020 offseason where he had said that re-signing Anthony Auclair would be a priority this offseason because, in Bruce Arians' opinion, he is one of the better blocking tight ends in the entire NFL. That is how Bruce Arians feels about Anthony Auclair. Now, let me ask you guys this. When you get the blocking expertise of Anthony Auclair, who Bruce Arians already has stated is one of the better blocking tight ends in the NFL, and you combined it with the blocking ability of Rob Gronkowski, who is one of the better blocking tight ends in the NFL, you put both those guys out there in a 2 tight end set, both having to block the ball, that is going to do wonders for your run game. Ronald Jones will be buying these guys lunch for many, many weeks because I feel like they're going to make his job so much better. Also, Keyshawn Vaughn, Dario Ogunbowale, all the other guys in that running back group, it is going to do wonders for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, as well as the passing game as well. I feel like Anthony Auclair can be a phenomenal pass blocking tight end for the Buccaneers when he needs to be, helping out Tom Brady and just overall being a good gadget piece for the Buccaneers offense. So while it may not show up on paper necessarily, I don't know how many passes he's going to catch in training camp and in preseason, I will say pay attention to his blocking, okay? That's one of the biggest things that Bruce Arians cares about in his offense is, can the tight end block, okay? What can he do in terms of his versatility? Yeah, you can be a phenomenal athlete and catch the ball, but can you block as well, okay? Because that's where some of the value is. That's what Bruce Arians likes to see in tight ends, is that versatility. And Anthony Auclair, he certainly fits the bill because not only can he be a phenomenal blocker for this team, but people forget he's a pretty decent receiving tight end end as well, which has led me to just basically buy in at this point that the Buccaneers are going to keep 4 tight ends, and we'll see if they keep any more than that. But yeah, Anthony Auclair, very, very versatile, apparently one of the better blocking tight ends in the NFL, according to Bruce Arians, and you know what? I will take his word for it, because if I remember correctly, Anthony Auclair, he's a pretty darn good blocking tight end. So yeah, definitely pay attention to him and how he affects the run game specifically. I feel like him and Rob Gronkowski, while it'll be a dead giveaway that it's going to be a run play, I definitely think it's going to help the run game in leaps and bounds. Okay, so yeah, definitely pay attention to that. Finally, guys, the last player I want to talk about is technically an offensive player right now, at least according to Buccaneers.com, also according to Jadon Mickens as well, but in my opinion, he's just insanely versatile, and that's John Franklin III? I'm pretty sure he's the third, but John Franklin regardless. Now, the reason I said he is extremely versatile is that he has played cornerback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Back whenever myself and Jadon Mickens had a conversation back in the practice squad days when Jadon Mickens and John Franklin were on the practice squad, he had to play quarterback, and he did a very good job playing quarterback, to the point where Bruce Arians even said in a press conference that he was impressed with John Franklin as a quarterback, and he wanted to experiment with how he could use him in the offense. And then he also played a little bit of receiver to end the year as well. So John Franklin is stupidly versatile. Jadon Mickens and him are very good friends, so shout out to that. And yeah, I am so interested in John Franklin right now. He has played cornerback, quarterback, and wide receiver, and I'm so interested to see where they put him next, because I think he's going to be pretty darn good. Where will they use him? You know, that's kind of the big question mark, and that's something I'm probably not just interested in seeing, and a lot of you guys are interested in seeing as well, but I'm sure Bruce Arians is, you know, very intrigued to see what he can do with John Franklin. Will he be the backup, you know, maybe a backup quarterback for this team? I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. I feel like the possibilities are pretty much endless for John Franklin. I'm sure he can be a phenomenal special teams player. He can be a good offensive player. He has the ability to play defense. Just pay attention to where he lines up and how he does. I kind of want to see him play quarterback just to see how that would work. Maybe do a little bit of wildcat. Who knows, man? Who knows? I really hope they have some fun with John Franklin in the preseason and just let him run wild with the third and fourth stringers, essentially, because I think it could be loads and loads of fun. And I really think that versatility, as well as all these guys, all of their versatility that I've mentioned, I really think it could earn these guys roster spots. I do very much genuinely believe that. I think all of these guys, well, obviously Sean Murphy Bunting, he's going to be making the roster, and, you know, Anthony Nelson as well, but Dakota Dixon, Jadon Mickens, and, you know, Anthony Auclair and John Franklin, these guys, you know, I would say that they would definitely make the roster, okay? And I'm saying that because of their versatility and their overall ability to play multiple different types of roles for the Buccaneers. And right now, with the current spectrum of the team and we're in win now mode, that versatility is so important. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for this video. Let me know what you thought about all of the breakout stars I mentioned down in the comments section below, and what are some of the players that you guys are thinking about that are going to be breakout stars for the Buccaneers in the 2020 season. Let me know what you think about all of this down in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope you all enjoyed, and guys, I will see you in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs. I love that jersey.